Hi, this is Leanne from Global Media Networks with the Business Roundup for the day. We see that Sri Lanka's Orient Garments PLC, a listed apparel exporter, said a strategy of focusing on children had helped it survive a downturn in key Western markets. Both profits and revenues fell. According to Chief Executive Officer Lanka, the firm was the largest children's wear supplier to Tommy Hilfiger worldwide and the only children's wear supplier to Burberry in Sri Lanka, and the largest woven vendor for Tesco in Sri Lanka. Now, the strategy of being a leading children's wear supplier has worked well, as we find parents continuing to buy clothes for their children even during hard times. We see that Sri Lanka's treasury bills yields were flat across maturities at Venice's auction, with only 7.3 billion rupees of bills being sold out of 9.0 billion rupees offered. Now, data from the State Debt Office showed the 3-month yield was flat at 11.44%, the 6-month yield was 13.12%, and the 12-month yield was 13.36%. We also see that the two debutants on the Colombo stock market yesterday shined with sharp rises in their prices though volumes of at least one were low. Now, but by virtue of a 968% rise, George Stewart Finance topped the list of percentage-wise gainers, whilst Asia Siyaka, with its 395% rise, was second. Now, George Stewart Finance saw its shares with a reference price of 20 rupees, opening trading at 200 rupees, hitting an intraday high of 220 before closing at 213.70 cents, up by 193 rupees 70 cents. Now, however, the only 170 shares were transacted via a 26 trades. Now, on the other hand, the other debutant, Asia Siyaka, with a reference price of 2 rupees, started off with a price of 21 rupees 50 cents and peaked to 22 rupees before closing in inaugural day at 9 rupees 90 cents, up by 7 rupees 90 cents. Now, Asia Siyaka was more active with 149,562 shares changed hands via 224 trades. The board of directors of Laxmana Batteries has decided to scale down the D-size battery manufacturing operation and has offered a voluntary retirement scheme to 52 employees. The total cost of the scheme had estimated at 29.8 million rupees. The mandatory offer by Parks and Retail Asia Limited to acquire all the remaining ordinary shares of Adele PLC was closed at 4:30 p.m. on the 11th of September 2012. Now, as at 4:30 p.m. 11th of September 2012, the acceptance of the offer had received for 3,416,536 shares, which is a 2.36%. Now, Parks and Retail held 61.15 million shares before the offer was paid. Before the offer period, that is 42.19%. We also see Mr. Anthony A. Page, director and a major shareholder of Cargill Ceylon PLC, had bought around 26,000 shares of Cargill's at a price of 145 rupees per share over the past couple of days. Now, the total value of this transaction had amounted to 3.7 million rupees. Also, Mr. Anushman Rajaratnam, alternate director to Mr. Aja Rajaratnam of Maravilla Resorts, had bought its 100,958 shares at a price of 8 rupees 40 cents and 8 rupees 50 cents per share. Similarly, we see that Yuji Madanayaka, chairman of Kalani Cables PLC, has acquired his 56,200 shares at a price of 82 rupees and 10 cents per share. We also see that Sri Lanka export earnings during the month of July has declined by 17.4% year-on-year to earn a sum of $794 million compared to $962 million earned a year ago. Now, the country's import expenditure too has dropped by 24.9% during the month of July, incurring a bill of $1.329 billion. compared to the $6 billion received during the same period last year. Now, meanwhile, Sri Lanka's up to July earnings during this year has declined 4.6% to receive a sum of 5.7 billion US dollars compared to 6 billion again received during the same period last year. Now we see the trade deficit for the first 7 months of the year stands at 5.34 billion US dollars, a widening of 6.7% year on year. Now with that, I round up the news for today. Thank you very much for listening and see you again tomorrow.